In this video, I'm building a wall-hanging tea cabinet out of walnut, inspired by Japanese and contemporary design, where everything you see is not just aesthetic, it's what holds the piece together. And it all starts as flat boards cut on a laser. At this stage, it's hard to tell what it will become. Just parts, shapes, and possibilities. A lot of work went into designing this solely for the purpose of challenging myself. I want to see how well traditional joinery can be cut with modern manufacturing techniques. There's half flaps, finger joints, and wedged-through tenons throughout this cabinet, with no glue, nails, or screws holding the carcass together. All of the parts are cut on my X-Tool P3 laser, starting with these sides. These are the most complex parts and include all of the joints I just mentioned. With these cut out, I can move on to the rest of the pieces. And there's a lot. There's a total of 33 parts that make up this small tea cabinet. At this point, it feels less like an idea and more like something real, even if it is still in pieces. These are the parts that make up the carcass, and I'll cut out the drawer parts later. Doing it this way worked out to my benefit, but before getting into that, more work is needed here. I need to cut grooves in the sides, bottom, and top to recess the back panel. The grooves on the side pieces are easy because they go from end to end and can be cut on the table saw with a few passes. The top and bottom both get a stopped groove. I'm marking the locations to match the side pieces, and I use a router and straight edge to make the cut. After the first pass, rather than moving the guide over, I put in an 1/8 inch spacer and cut again to make the groove 1/4 inch wide. A lot of the parts have complex geometry, and that's one of the reasons I used my laser to do most of the cutting. The back panel fits into that complex geometry category. All 4 edges get a rabbet to reduce the thickness to 1/4 inch, so that it can fit into the grooves of the sides, top, and bottom. I want to hang this tea cabinet with a French cleat, and I can easily attach that to the back with a couple of screws, but I'm designing this without screws and nails, so I'll use a sliding dovetail instead. It felt important to stay consistent here, to not take the easy way out just because no one would see it. I'm cutting a long dovetail slot towards the top to attach the French cleat to. I want this cabinet to hang 1/4 inch away from the wall, so I'll cut another slot towards the bottom to add a spacer to make sure that the cabinet hangs properly. That bit left the sharp corners a little rough, but a bit of sanding easily cleans them up. These grit grip sanding pads get a lot of use in my shop. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check them out. The dovetail keys are up next. Using the same bit, I shaped each corner of the key with that dovetail angle. I also cut a slot on what will be the French cleat and the bottom spacer. To put it all together, the key slides into the back panel and the spacer slides onto the key. The French cleat gets cut at a 45-degree angle. One part will be attached to the wall, and the other will be attached to the back panel of the cabinet. I didn't realize this during the designing process, but the back panel interferes with the joinery for the lower shelf. This is one of those moments where design meets reality, and reality usually wins. I'm clamping these parts together so I can mark on the shelf where the back panel sits so that I can cut out a space for it. These pieces fit together very tightly, and it was really difficult to take them apart. So I was taking this apart and this middle shelf piece broke. It's a pretty simple fix. I can glue it and clamp it back on. And even if that seam ends up being visible, it's in an area within the cabinet that won't be seen. But this is actually a really good thing because I need to cut out this section here. So I can now do that with the rest of the shelf not being in the way. So I'll cut it on the table saw and then trim it up by hand, and then put it back together. I could have cut a new piece to avoid glue altogether, but this piece has some really nice grain on it and it'll be in a very prominent area. Sometimes the material makes the decisions for you, and it's important to use the right board for each piece. This one felt right. I don't know where you stand, but since this is a repair, I don't count using glue here as using glue to assemble the cabinet. But let me know what you think in the comments. This shelf has a half lap where it intersects with the side, and to keep that the correct size, I'm putting in a spacer before clamping it tight. After that dried, I sand all the parts and remove the burn marks left by the laser. This is where that repair is, and it's completely invisible. Next up is this center shelf. Since most of it will be made up of veneer, I'm gluing in some support pieces on the bottom and the top. The design of the shelf is one of my favorite parts of the cabinet. At some point, I decided to curve it upward and transition it towards the side panel. Yes, this does make the shelf less usable, but I love how this curve quietly echoes the curves of the shelves below. It's a small decision, but it changes how the entire piece feels. And oftentimes, it's those small details that make the biggest impact. These brass clamps are becoming my favorite clamps in the shop. They have a really low profile, and in this case, they allow me to keep working as the glue is still drying. The curve gets completed with this paper-backed mahogany veneer. Applied oversized, and after the glue dries, the clamps are removed and it gets trimmed with a utility knife blade. At this point, all the shaping and sanding is complete, and I can move on to applying finish before final assembly. But something is telling me to do a dry fit first, and I'm really glad I listened. I love how this is turning out, but there's a few problems. The drawer openings are different sizes on the left and on the right, and also the top and the bottom, which means my joinery position on both side pieces is off slightly for this middle shelf, and it's throwing the whole thing at an angle downward, and the whole thing is too low. The bottom drawer is about 1/4 of an inch smaller than the top drawer. There's two ways that I can think of to fix this. One of them is recut the side pieces, but I don't have enough walnut to do that, especially because I still need to make the drawers. The other option I'm thinking of is to patch the joinery on both side pieces and then recut it on the laser. I think I'm gonna try that and we'll see how it turns out. I did order some more walnut just in case, but let's try that first. I'm cutting some small pieces to size and doing my best to match the grain on the side panels. They get glued in place, and I was able to get a really tight fit on all of these pieces. After sanding, they're still noticeable, and although I don't love it, they do add some character. Back in the laser, the joinery gets cut in the correct positions, or so I thought. You can see how off these were from where they needed to be, but some were miscut again, patched again, and recut. And I want to be clear that this isn't the fault of the laser, it's completely my mismeasurement. The patches started to accumulate, and eventually I started treating these pieces as tests to get everything in the correct locations, and once it was all sorted, I put new material into the laser and recut these side panels. The grain on these new side panels made me really glad I went this route, and I'll show you why in just a bit, right after cutting the new slot for the back panel and doing another test assembly. This is perfect. Everything is lining up exactly how it needs to be. When I first cut this bottom shelf, I thought the grain looked like a ripple of water, which is very fitting for a tea cabinet. Now the new side piece plays along with that theme, with the grain looking like a drop of water causing that ripple, or like pouring tea into a cup. It feels less like something I made and more like something I uncovered, but it's not done yet. Everything is taken apart to apply finish to all the pieces. After a few coats of Danish oil, and once it's all dried, I can assemble the cabinet for the last time. There is one small mistake, however. I should have left these tenons long and trimmed them after assembly. Now, they're too short. I think adding some brass to fill in this space adds a really nice touch, and it complements the walnut nicely. They get epoxied and clamped in place. After the epoxy cures, they get sanded flush with the wood. The drawers are the last pieces needed, so it's back to the laser, but this time with 1/4 inch walnut rather than 1/2 inch, and I have this small piece of walnut with sapwood that I think would be really cool for the drawer faces. That gives me all the parts for the drawers, but I still need to cut grooves for the drawer bottoms, and I'll do that the same way I did for the back panel in the cabinet. On the table saw for the side pieces, and a router and straight edge guide for the fronts and backs. The very last part is a drawer pull, which will get a cord wrapping. And I need to cut a recess for it so the extra thickness of the cord doesn't affect how the drawer pull fits. Before wrapping, all the parts get the same finish as the rest of the cabinet. I want the ends of the cord to be hidden. I'm sure there's a few different ways to do this, but this is the method that I know works best. I'm starting with a loop on one end and taping it down so that it doesn't move. The same gets done for the tail on the opposite end. From there, you just start wrapping, keeping the cord tight and straight without any overlaps. To finish it off, the working end gets passed through the loop. When the cord on the opposite end gets pulled, the loop draws that working end underneath the wrap and locks it in place. The last thing left is to assemble the drawers. And here is the only time I need glue to put things together. This could have been avoided if I used dovetails instead of finger joints, but you can't cut dovetails on a laser, and I'm not confident in my skills to cut them by hand accurately. Maybe that's something I can improve on in a future project. While that's drying, I'll finish off the cabinet by adding this shelf, pinning it in place with brass rods to echo the brass below. With that, it's all done and can be hung on the wall. At its core, this was an experiment in balance between hand and machine, between methods that have been refined over generations and tools that might still be finding their place. And in that space, there's something worth paying attention to. I don't think that balance is something you ever fully figure out. and that feels like the right place to be. It's an area I'll keep exploring, and I'll keep sharing what comes out of it.